Alrighty, everyone, it is Friday, and it has been an absolutely insane Friday at that. It is time to talk about the news of the week for December 6th, 2024. And I want you guys to keep in mind, I am recording this at 1:50 p.m. Eastern Time. So there's a lot of things happening in the NHL world right now, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I want you guys to know that things I do not cover that are big enough to be in another news, that are big enough to be in the video itself, there will be another video coming out on the channel today. So if I did miss something that is not included in here, you guys will know. Okay, so let's start off with the two trades that happened last Saturday. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind that I talked about these in a YouTube video or two YouTube videos last Saturday, but I figured since it's a part of the news of last week, we would include it in the news of this week. So, starting off here with the David Jiricek deal, the bigger deal of the two. The Minnesota Wild acquired defenseman David Jiricek, who was on an entry-level contract until 2026. He had 1 assist in 6 games played with the Columbus Blue Jackets at the time of the trade, along with a 2025 fifth-round pick. He is heading to the Minnesota Wild. The Columbus Blue Jackets are getting defenseman Damon Hunt, who is on a $828K ALC, which expires at the end of this season. He had 4 assists in 9 games played with the Iowa Wild. Additionally, Columbus gets a conditional 2025 first, a 2027 second, a 2026 third, a 2026 fourth. The third and the fourth belong to Colorado and Toronto respectively, and the conditions on the 2025 first is that it is top 5 protected. So, this is a deal that is pretty interesting, and I think that, again, I've talked about it in videos. I'll have the video linked up here in the corner, or I think it might be over here, but wherever. I'll have the video linked whenever I post it, but overall, it's a trade that I think is a win by Minnesota. Again, I talked a lot in the video that I made about how I thought that Columbus wasn't giving opportunity to Jiricek. Minnesota will give Jiricek that opportunity, but I'm not so sure if he'll get a lot of NHL time this year, considering the fact that I think the Wild's blue line is more, I would say, deeper than Columbus is, but I really do think that he is going to get a chance to play on this team and have a shot at making the roster at some point this season. So, again, I think that Minnesota wins this deal for sure. Columbus does get a haul back for picks, but when you're a team that's rebuilding, I think that that is a good return. You really can't ask for much more. So, if I'm a Columbus fan, I'll take it, personally. The other trade that happened was between the Nashville Predators and the Colorado Avalanche, where the Colorado Avalanche acquired goaltender Scott Wedgwood, who is on a 2-year, $1.5 million deal that ends in the end of the 25-26 season. He had a 1-2 record, a 3.69 and a .878 with the Predators this year. And in exchange, the Nashville Predators have acquired Justice Annunen, who is on a 2-year, $837K deal, and he had a 6-4 record, a 3.23 and a .872 with the Avalanche this year. Along with him going to Nashville is a 2025 6th-round pick. So, I think that this is all very interesting. This is Colorado trying to solve their goalie problem. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's a temporary solution. It's not a long-term solution. It's not something that is going to be this team's long-term goaltender. I do think they're going to have to go out and get somebody else to be their goalie as well. But I think for right now, it definitely helps because I don't think Georgiev has been particularly the greatest goalie. And I think behind a really good Colorado defense, Wedgwood, who has shown that he can be a good backup, I think that he can have good numbers here in Colorado. But again, I don't think he is the permanent solution for this team. I don't think you should go into the playoffs with a Georgiev-Wedgwood tandem. I'm not particularly too keen on that, in my opinion. So, again, we'll see where that goes from here. But that was another interesting deal that I thought I would bring up as well. And we have a lot to talk about here. Otherwise, I would go more in depth. But let's move on to the next couple of things we got to talk about here. So, we have some Hurricanes news that I think is worth discussing. Dustin Tokarski has signed a 1-year, $775K deal with the Hurricanes. He was previously on an American Hockey League contract, but because of the amount of injuries that Carolina has with goalies, they're going to need to call another one up in Tokarski. I like Tokarski. He's been in the league for a while. He's been bouncing around the NHL and the AHL, playing for Buffalo, Pittsburgh. He's been around a lot. So I think that that's a good pickup there for Carolina. A good guy who will fit in well as probably, again, like probably a fourth string. He's not really anything much bigger than that. And then also something that happened as of literally a few minutes ago. The Hurricanes are terminating Brendan Lemieux's contract. This is very interesting because Lemieux, I think, was signed to a deal in the offseason by Carolina, and now the two sides have mutually agreed to terminate their deal, and now Lemieux will no longer be a Carolina Hurricane. He will be a free agent within the next 24 hours. So that is something that just happened that we're going to talk about here, but I think that was pretty interesting as well. And then let's get into the other news. Luke Richardson has been fired by the Chicago Blackhawks. I thought that was very interesting too. Richardson was fired after a 8-16-3 record to start this season, and Anders Sorensen is taking over as the interim head coach. So, couple things here, starting off with Richardson. Richardson has been with the team since 22-23. The record, even though the team I feel like has been getting better on paper, has been getting progressively worse. They actually lost more games last year than they did in the year where they got first overall. So I think that shows a lot. Again, it was only like a 3-game difference, but still, that still is a significant difference when you look in terms of this team. They're trying to improve. They're trying to get better. And Richardson's an older coach. You see a team like San Jose under a guy like Ryan Warsofsky, who's a younger head coach, was in the AHL. I think he even won a championship. You see him playing really well with guys like Celebrini and Smith and such. And it's something that I mentioned in my video yesterday. And again, all the videos on the news like that will be put in the card up here. Just click on the card. You can go watch individual videos on the news. But with Richardson, I think it's the right move. And also I've heard too that he would love to just change lineups. He would change lineups all the time. Whenever teams would get chemistry, he would just change them. So I thought that was pretty weird to hear, and I think that Sorensen, who's coming in, has been in the American Hockey League for a long time. He's done some good work with the younger players down there in Rockford, which is the AHL affiliate for Chicago. I think that he could work out very well as a good interim, and what was also announced is that he's probably going to be the interim till the end of the season. Then they will further evaluate on who they necessarily want to bring in as the brand new head coach, whether it want to be Sorensen or bring in someone else. I think that's a good move as well. We'll see where that transpires from here, though. We're gonna get into the injuries in a second. I'm gonna go back to the injuries, but I want to talk about what's happening right now with Jacob Trouba. Jacob Trouba has appeared to have played his last game with the New York Rangers, as he is reportedly going to either get traded today or placed on waivers within the next couple of days. So I think we're going to see Trouba on either a new team or in the minors by Monday. So this is something that we're going to follow over the weekend. When things happen here with Trouba, I will make a video on it. But again, I made a video on the Rangers on Wednesday saying that I just didn't think Trouba was a good defenseman. And seeing how this has transpired, I think that it's pretty wild that it's happening this way. It's not a good look. It's not a good look to place your captain on waivers. And I honestly think that whoever made Trouba the captain should be fired. If that's the way that he's leaving, he should be fired, in my honest opinion. The teams that I've heard who may be involved in the rumors with Trouba, the Columbus Blue Jackets were one of the teams. By the way, they are the only team that can really afford to get Trouba off of waivers because Trouba's getting paid a lot. So I think Columbus is probably your number one frontrunner. Then you also have Anaheim, who's been involved in the rumors too. San Jose's been there as well, which makes a lot of sense as well. And then Detroit, who tried to trade for him last offseason. And then Ottawa was a team that I heard maybe have been in the rumors. Again, those are the teams that I have heard. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing somebody. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But from scrolling on social media and seeing some of the reports, I think that the three most likely teams are probably Columbus, Anaheim, San Jose. Detroit and Ottawa are two secondary teams that are probably, they're just listed as a team that is rumored to be with them. Supposedly Buffalo is too, but then Kevin Adams said we're not a destination city for him. So I'm like, okay. Then I want to talk about Brady Tkachuk, and this shows that the media will lie to you. I'm not the first person to say that to you probably, but the media can lie to you. So Larry Brooks put out an article saying that the Rangers have been making Brady Tkachuk their number one trade candidate, saying that they've been aggressively pushing for him the last couple of weeks, and that the return may be big for Ottawa if they do decide to trade for Ottawa's captain. Again, I want to preface this by saying I read the article by Larry Brooks. I don't think that they're associated. I don't think the Trouba deal and a Brady Tkachuk deal are associated. They're not. They're not associated. And when this came out, first off, Senators fans flipped out. LeBlanc, my podcast partner for Northern Block Podcast, was flipping out over it. I think that's going to be something we talk about next Monday. And then this sent media outlets like Bruce Garrioch, Ian Mendes started out and said that there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Brady Tkachuk is not leaving Ottawa. He's not going to New York or anywhere else for that matter. So my takeaway from what I'm hearing from Brooks and what I'm hearing from Garrioch and what I'm hearing from Mendes is that the Rangers probably contacted Steve Staios on potentially trading for Brady Tkachuk. And maybe Staios listened. Maybe Staios was like, okay, I hear your offer, but F off. I don't think that, maybe they were considering it at one point. But I think the only way that Brady Tkachuk is going to get traded out of Ottawa, more specifically to the Rangers, is if Brady Tkachuk says so. I don't think that they're going to trade Tkachuk either way. He is, I think, the second longest tenured Ottawa Senator, and he's a part of your core. I get you want to make a shakeup to your core because the team's struggling again, but I don't think Tkachuk's really the answer. I don't think Tkachuk is the answer for where that transpires. So those were two things that have been circulating around today. Again, if I hear more, I will make a video later today or tomorrow. But again, just as of right now, that's all I know when I'm making this video. And again, as I said, I'll make a video if something else happens. All right, let's get into the injuries now around the NHL. Starting off with Utah and actually a prospect. T.J. Ginla is out for the season after a hip injury. He was not in the NHL. He's playing in the WHL. He was the most recent draft pick from Utah, 6th overall. So unfortunate there for someone like a Ginla, who was really looked at as like a very solid, touted prospect, probably Utah's best prospect if we're being honest. It's unfortunate that he is no longer going to be playing this year, but hopefully he can recover and be back and ready to go for next season. Next up then, Justin Kirkland is going to be out for the season as well with an ACL injury. Basically, he tore his ACL. So unfortunate there for Kirkland. He was one of those feel-good stories with Calgary. It sucks that it ended that way, but injuries really do stink. And Calgary's injuries seem to be piling up. Again, they're not going to have Kirkland back. They're not going to have Mantha back. Sucks. But injuries really do happen. Tyler Seguin will miss the next 4 to 6 weeks with or 4 to 6 months, not 4 to 6 weeks, sorry, with a hip surgery that he is going to be undergoing. So, unfortunate there for Seguin, because Seguin dealt with a really bad injury 2 years ago. He came back from that. It was great. Now he's going to be out another 4 to 6 months, probably for the season, if we're being honest. 4 to 6 months, if we're talking 4 at the earliest, he's going to be back probably by playoffs. If he goes out the full 6, I think that the season, he's not going to come back. But, that might be a good thing. You could use that to your advantage, put Seguin on LTIR, go out and get more assets, assets, and then have Seguin back for the playoffs. Pull a Tampa Bay Lightning. Again, that's a joke. I'm just saying, I think that it's not great for Dallas to lose Seguin because he's been playing well, but you could use that cap space and go out and get somebody who could maybe replace him from that time on or fix the blue line. That could be another thing that they could do as well. So we'll see where that goes. But hopefully Seguin will have a speedy recovery and don't come back too fast. I think the team is good enough to, not to disrespect Seguin, but I think the team is good enough to make the playoffs without you. They may need you in the playoffs, though. Vancouver's Philip Hronek is out 8 weeks with a lower body injury. That's a rough go there for someone like Hronek for sure. Again, I don't think it's the biggest loss in the world because I feel like he does get propped up by Quentin Hughes a little bit. But still, he's probably your number 2 defenseman when you look in terms of D-man on this Canucks team. It sucks, but hopefully Hronek will be back within the next couple of months. We're talking 8 weeks, so probably February, maybe end of January, when we see Hronek back in the lineup. So overall, we'll see where that goes from here, but hopefully Hronek will have a speedy recovery. All right, going back to the Trouba and the Rangers stuff here, Mika Zibanejad has not waived his no-trade clause. So this is something that I heard that Zibanejad may also get moved today too, but a report came out that Zibanejad has not moved his no-trade clause to go to teams. So, again, that is something you got to keep in mind there as well. But we'll see where that goes from here, too. That's another interesting piece of news to keep up on there as well, because I think that somebody like Zibanejad, there's a pretty decent chance he may get moved. But again, he's on a longer-term deal. It's going to have to take a lot for you guys to move him, and we'll see where that goes from here as well with Zibanejad and Trouba with the Rangers. Again, as I said multiple times, if something happens, I will make a video on it. I'm just saying. All right. One more piece here before we move into the rumor mill. The Four Nations rosters have officially been released. They were released on Wednesday of this past week. There is a YouTube video up. I'll put it in the card. Of me reacting and reviewing the Four Nations rosters that were announced. I will put them on screen as I'm talking about them here, so you guys can read them. But yeah, these are the Four Nations rosters. These can change. You could see somebody get called into the Four Nations later on in the month or in January if somebody gets hurt. So, again, we will see where that goes. But as of right now, those are your Four Nations rosters for the tournament in February. Okay, let's move into the rumor mill. This may be one of the shortest news of the week videos that I've ever done. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't know how long the Tkachuk and Trouba thing was going to take. I didn't know if anything was going to happen. But I really can't wait to make this video either, because I have work at 4 and I have hockey at 8, so I really can't swap around and do all these things. I have to make the video now. So again, just wanted to put that out there. But let's talk about some rumors. We only have I think 4 or 5 here. Not a lot here for you guys, but The Athletic went out today in an article and mentioned that some possible center options for the Philadelphia Flyers, that being Trevor Zegras, Marco Rossi, Dylan Cousins, Brock Nelson are all center options for the Flyers. That's interesting. I'm going to go through each and every one of these guys here first. So starting off with Zegras, there have been talks of him getting traded. I don't know if I believe it, but again, he could be a good option there too. I guess he could fit in. He's young. The Flyers want to get younger. I think that could be a good option there. Marco Rossi. I have not heard anything about Rossi. He came out of the blue. A little bit weird. We'll see if that happens. That's a cool name. I wouldn't mind having Rossi on my Flyers, but overall, I don't really know if I can see that happening. Dylan Cousins has been struggling with the Sabres. Could use a change of scenery. I don't know if Tortorella is a good change of scenery, but yeah, we'll see where that goes as well. And then Brock Nelson, too, was a name that was brought up. He was named to the Four Nations rosters. I like Nelson. I think he's a good player. He's been a consistent 40-goal scorer. He could be a good fit. Again, these are all solid fits for the Flyers. It's better than what they have right now for sure. But again, it's just a rumor for a reason. It's just a rumor for a reason. And again, I know that I probably should have put the Brady Tkachuk stuff in the rumor mill, but that was something that I wanted to bring up towards the beginning of the video, because I know maybe not a lot of people will stick around towards the end. But again, something you guys got to keep in mind. The Stars and the Wild could be 2 candidates for Brock Nelson if he's made available. So there's a lot of talks of the Islanders possibly, again, selling some of the players on their roster. Brock Nelson has been one of them, and I just mentioned Nelson for the Flyers. The Stars or the Wild could be options for him too. So again, Nelson's a guy who I think is, again, a very consistent goal scorer. He scored, I think, almost 40 goals last season. I think he had 37 or 33, not 100% sure. But those are his totals the last 2 seasons. So, again, I think that he is a good player, and I think that whoever's getting him is going to get some goals, for sure. He is a very under-the-radar player for the Islanders. Again, the Islanders don't get talked about too much because, they're the Islanders. They're kind of just, they don't score a ton, realistically, apart from, Barzal and Nelson, to be honest. Joel Quenneville has been mentioned by the Rangers and the Red Wings as 2 possible coaching candidates for the coach right now. I think that is also very interesting, considering the fact that when you look in terms of, the Rangers and the Wings, I think the Wings have a better chance of firing. I don't really know if they want to bring in Quenneville, though. I don't know if that solves their problems. The Rangers would be interesting, for sure. But I feel like if we were going to see the Rangers fire Laviolette, it would have happened in this, 3-day window they had where they could have made a coaching change. But overall, I thought that was interesting, too, to bring up. And then one last thing. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Los Angeles Kings have been linked to Jake Evans, per David Pagnotta. Interesting news there as well. Evans could be a good fourth line piece, could be somebody who could fit in there as a bottom six option for sure. I wouldn't hate that if I'm the Kings or the Leafs personally. But yeah, that is your news of the week. I'm going to check my phone here one more time to see if there's any actual news going on or if anything has like transpired since I have talked about it here. Rangers are still trying to get a Trouba trade done, hearing the Ducks were among the teams in trade conversations with the New York Rangers. But hearing the Blue Jackets are out. Ooh, okay. So that kind of just contradicts my entire thing that I said about the Jackets earlier. But again, if you're hearing this now, then that should not be a big surprise for sure. Yeah, I'm just looking here, seeing if I'm missing anything, if anything else has really happened. But yeah, that pretty much does it for the news of this week. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like or subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it. Again, Trouba was not placed on waivers today as well. I want to say that too. So he may get placed tomorrow. He may get placed Sunday. Again, we'll see. But those are the news of the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.